by virtue of my historical research that there is a technologically advanced civilization existing in our underworld. That, hey, Nino, listen, I'm not denying UFOs. I'm not denying UAPs. What I'm telling you is 99.9% of all eyewitness and U.S. military reports about this activity are these things are going in and out of bodies of water and in and out of the ground. And until this day, we still have no video footage of a UFO entering the atmosphere. What we have is a race below us. This race below us is doing all this. It's 100% a spiritual phenomenon. The very fact that you believe that there are restrictions to your ability to do things basically creates the feedback loop that restrictions will be imposed on you until you change your mind. Remember, the selfless act of an instant can undo an entire lifetime of guilt. The reason is not because the one selfless act is so selfless that it undoes a whole lifetime of evil. That's not what's happening here. We're dealing with informed fields. That's what we're dealing with. If a person has done bad all their life, at the very end of their life, if they just make a conscious decision, hey man, you know what? This didn't work out for me. I was a piece of shit. I was no good. And I hurt all these people. I have not done anything in my life. That admission, if it is genuine, if it is sincere, and not predicated on a fear of what's going to happen in the afterlife. Believe me, deathbed conversions are real, but the only deathbed conversions are real are those where the individual isn't worried about the consequences of what's going to happen on the other side. They're genuinely distressed about the life they've lived. In those situations, one person can create an informed field, emotionally charged, so powerful that they can undo an entire lifetime of guilt. Remember, guys, I tell you over and over and over, you are the law. Everything else is just waiting to understand what the command is. The problem lies in that you often do with your avatar the exact opposite of what you profess with your mouth. And this is the problem. We profess with our tongues what we want to do in life, and then with our avatars, we move in a totally different direction. So the construct will always follow the example of the avatar and not the individual within. So, yeah, it doesn't take much. But if you think that there are a lot of things that you need to do before you can modify the elements of your existence, then I promise you the construct will make sure there are many things that you need to learn first before you can modify anything. Once you understand that you are the law, the construct will reciprocate. We have this ability by virtue of imagination to pull data from the past. We can even pull energy and data from the future, from a linear projection, because in programming, the past and the future are just coordinates. Right. I'm just gonna let you know off the jump that I do not push extraterrestrials. Believe 100% by virtue of my historical research that there is a technologically advanced civilization existing in our underworld. And they have spent a prodigious amount of energy over the last 5 centuries trying to convince us that all the activity is above the atmosphere and space when it's actually going on like underneath us. And that
Admiral Byrd, I 100% agree. 100% agree.
So this is a major data thread that we're always exploring in Archiax. And because we see all these major UFO stories and we see all these things, but to us it translates to something different. There is an organized group beneath us. I can say they're human, but I can say they're slightly altered because they've been in a totally different biosphere for so long. But I can also say with confidence that there's more real estate in the underworld than there is on the surface. There's a lot of real estate down there. And UFO activity is always seen going in and out of valleys, mountains, and lakes of water. My actual research from the beginning was to prove my fundamentalist Southern Baptist roots. I wanted to prove from secular history that what I had been raised to believe was true. This is what set me in motion. So We're talking about people with a lot of anger and a lot of hatred. People who have been forced, that backed into a corner. Not, believe me, about 50% of the guys I met in prison were just called good guys caught up in a bad way. The history of the world exhibits the traits of a mathematical construct because the events that I have recorded are too perfectly precise that there is no way they could have ever happened naturally. And because I'm only looking at these things as an observer ex post facto, from now looking into the past, then there's a really good chance none of those events ever happened. This is why I study history, not because I believe those events occurred, because I believe that the truth is found in the construct itself. Julia, does AIX ever send fake Erics to take us off our course? You know what? Listen, you have to go with your intuition in all things because it was specifically given to you for that reason. Because the world is often illogical. There's deceit and deception everywhere. But one thing that will never lead you astray is your intuition. And you will often get angry with yourself over and over and over for listening to other people and going their way instead of going the initial way that first popped into your head. Overthinking kills more greatness in your life than anything else. But there are things that can go wrong with the human body that it doesn't even matter if mankind has ever discovered a cure. Because when you're living in a hologram and you accept the fact that reality is whole spirit, the antidote is just as close as the venom. There's no distance between the poison and the antidote. The only distance is what you impute upon it by what you think you have to do to bridge the gap from being hurt to heal. It's that simple, man. It really is. It really is all mental, but it's mental as far as understanding and building an informed field. An informed field is a mental image of a healthy Jason. If you dwell on how sick you are, all you're doing is reinforcing an informed field that will perpetuate that sickness because that's what you're thinking about. So it's a feedback loop. Whatever you project will be fed back to you. The Greek myths reveal that there was a race of titans that came first. Then there was a cataclysm in the days of Kronos. After the days of Kronos, no more titans were born in the world, but the children of the titans gave birth to the gigantes. These were the races of the giants. Many of these giants got out of control, and some of the titans slew them and killed them. But many of them fled, and the race of giants was spread over the world. The titans were now considered the gods. They had lived, they had no beginning, they had no end. They were worshipped as divinities because they had actually lived in two different worlds and survived. They lived under the vapor canopy, and now they lived in the new sun world, which was chaotic. It was hot. It was miserable. The conditions were totally different. It was really hard to find food now. It was a totally different world when the vapor canopy collapsed. The world after what the Bible calls the Great Flood. There may be 2 or 3 cities we need to take out real quick. Keep that narrative going. Oh, things become a problem with the truther community, or do things become a problem with our inability to move fast enough to change the internet? Well, let's keep that solar flare and X-flare narrative going. Every once in a while, let's publish something. Let's put another movie out. Let's do a 21-series documentary, television documentary, and mix facts with fiction. Let's just keep it on the public mind. They know if the internet ever goes down, we can always blame the solar flare. We can always keep that narrative in place. You never know when we're going to need it. Oh, let's go ahead and fund Hollywood and throw our intelligence apparatus and make sure that at least once a year, somewhere in the world, somebody's making an alien invasion deal. But let's put just enough elements of religiosity in each one of these presentations, just in case the religious right doesn't want to believe it. We can switch over to invasion of demons. We can do both at the same time because, those Christians will believe that. So, These are just narratives that are put out there. They are all just vehicles of this massive apparatus that controls the human condition. This is what's been going on for a while, but I kept it to myself. It wasn't until I got out of prison and I saw YouTube videos that I even learned that other people had been entertaining this idea, but they entertain it from a CGI or a modern pop culture perspective. I had never seen anybody take the history of the world and show mathematical constructs that show that it's coded. So what I take from my entire life full of research is that I believe what Elon Musk believes. We are indeed in a simulation, but I don't believe Elon Musk can actually show it. He just theorizes it. And there are many people like him that haven't done the research they weren't in prison. There's no way they could have done it. It's scary when you think about it, but it's also beautiful because I understand that the architecture of the human personality is so definitive and so magnificent that somehow we are like immortal beings trapped in this huge mathematical construct that's not of our own design, but was built just for that purpose, for us not to live in, but to pass through. And this is what the arithmetic conveys. So my studies of history have basically turned me into a mathematician. It was by necessity just to understand the discoveries as they unfolded. So that's basically an answer to my question, is that cognitive dissonance divorced me from all these religious preconceptions to see reality as it was, and the reality that I see is a byproduct of what I have researched and seen in world history, not what's taught to me, but what I found. So, yes, we live in a simulation. We live in a simulated environment, and it doesn't matter if it's Mandela effect or synchronicity or deja vu or coincidence. Whatever happens that's an anomaly in this existence can be readily explained in simulation theory. Almost every mystery of the ancient world can be explained in simulation theory. So the cosmos and all that to me is a beautiful picture show in the sky, but I don't have to invest my faith in it because in the end, my paradigm doesn't matter. What I do day to day is the only thing that matters. And I'm always telling people on my channel that we can argue tooth and nail about the specifics of the world, but in the end, how I treat you and how you treat me is basically the measure that we're going to be measured by in the end. And more truther channels, more and more truther personalities who are in the field and have been providing some pretty good stuff, and some of it was edgy. Yeah, they're signing the contract, guys, and they're starting to do deals behind the scenes with corporations, and their narratives are getting hijacked. It's not going to happen with arcades. But when I see it happening around me, I'm going to call it out. Many of my past presentations, I've given the difference. You're living in two different realities at the exact same time. One is the personal, the highly individualized, immortal within. This is your reality. Everything you're experiencing is you. This is basically the immortal within. It's highly personal to you. The other reality that's unfolding and that you phase back and forth with all the time on a daily basis is the collective. And the collective is governed by negative default programming. This predator versus prey ecosphere. And this is this tug of war you feel every single day as the construct is trying to lay these traps for you and these enticements for you to move in the direction that the avatar wants to move in, not the immortal within. These two phases of reality, this is this duality that you feel every single day. That's this tug of war that you have, and you often blame yourself or blame God when it's actually the construct. This is why you're a pilgrim, you're a sojourner. You're here to learn, grow, mature, develop, pass through, and become something better. You're not here to save the world. And move forward with absolutely any care. Because remember, guys, there's another element operative here when you don't give a damn. Remember, I have a whole video I've told you guys about. Sometimes you have to adopt the not give a F attitude, and you'll be surprised how the construct will reciprocate. When you don't care about these material things, the material things come to you 10 times faster. But when you hold them in particular esteem, when you have attachment to things for other than their utilitarian value, when you think they have more power for whatever, just because of aesthetics or beauty, or you want to own it because the collective envies that type of stuff, these things move away from you. Things are just the opposite of what they appear to be in this reality. The very things that we earnestly want move away. The very things we care little about come to us so easily. We are as a community of souls waking up fast that we're in a construct. No matter how we paint that construct, to many people, it's not always a simulation to everybody, but it's to me, the reason the world has become so weird is because the AI processing power is in trouble, and it's throwing out it's in entropy. It's in rapid entropy, and I think that the only thing that corrects the situation that it has been for hundreds, maybe hundreds of thousands of cycles is total systemic reset. Because in a total systemic reset, the souls that are on the inside are now in avatars that are forced into positions of fight or flight and just finding food and shelter. And it takes a long time to build back up to that technological sophistication that they have the downtime to start processing their reality, studying it, and then come to the ultimate conclusion that they're in a construct, which induces the next systemic reset.
Yeah. I 100% agree. Your Phoenix theory is brilliant, and same with the Nemesis, that the best way the system can preserve its anonymity is to constantly be resetting everything. I mean, it makes sense. As much as no one wants to hear that, it actually would make perfect sense in an intelligently designed system. That's the only way that the entire collective won't realize that they're in some sort of a simulator. It's okay if a few people do, but they don't want everybody, which is why this video probably won't go viral. But I do think that there's probably these cyclical resets that happen because it does a couple things. It keeps the participants in the game, which is important, but it also challenges them. I mean, if you think about it, this isn't supposed to be easy. It's supposed to be tough. It's supposed to be hard. And once we get to a certain point, like technological advancement, things get easier. And it's not supposed to be that way. Like, Friedrich Nietzsche talks about, with like the Übermensch versus last men. I don't know if you're familiar with Nietzsche, but like the Übermensch is when you're like an activated human. You're fully activated. You're on top of your game. The last men are the people that are sitting there getting fed the government checks and just taking everything with a spoon and they're not trying anymore. You lost that human spirit. And one of the things that reinvigorates that human spirit is adversity, is a reset. A reset gets everybody working together. It gets everybody getting creative. You're like, it's survival mode. You have to get resourceful. You have to work. You can't get lazy. You cannot be lazy during a cataclysm. And so unfortunately, I think it's actually an integral part of the simulator.
This is the problem with being on the wrong frequency. This is why I won't entertain it. My YouTube channel, super strict. I'm super strict. I understand cognitive dissonance, and I also understand that if I block user from channel, it doesn't mean you can't see the videos. It just means your negative ass is not going to be leaving no more comments that affect me. I'm not going to receive your energy. It's not mine. It's your energy. You keep it. I don't want it. So when I see these negative comments on YouTube and stuff, I just delete them. I'm in there every day going through my comments, and I'm deleting them, and I'm blocking people every day because I believe that I have basically put some treasures out on YouTube, and I do it for free. So I'm going to freely remove your ass from my channel if you come bring that negativity to me, because I'm not going to entertain it. And you don't have to entertain it either. You're feeling something on a certain day and you need to receive a certain message, and all of a sudden on your feed, out of 300 different videos, the one Archiax video that you need to hear that day is the one that pops up on your YouTube feed. And you listen to it and it blows your mind. Damn, that's exactly what I needed to hear today. It's all about frequency. We call it the Bible. It is truly a book of good and evil. It always depends upon the observer's perspective. If you're looking for good, you're going to find the good. It's a very supernatural collection of writings. If you're looking for the shadows, you're going to find them too, because they're very easy to detect. When you listen to my voice, you are listening to the voice of a man who is absolutely confident that there's not a star in the sky that you see is real. You're looking at a very elaborate multi-tiered hologram. It's a light show. I believed all my life I was looking into the heavens. And as a simulationist, I know that the stellosphere is a hologram. And I know, by virtue of my studies in the physics constants and world history itself, that everything around us is completely simulated. It's not even a mystery to me anymore that everything around me is simulated, that I'm surrounded by NPCs that I know for a fact now aren't even real humans. Over and over, I have documented that it seems to me that the Phoenix phenomenon is like a weapon against not humanity, but humanity's overseer. I have a suspicion, and that suspicion tells me that the Phoenix weapon is specifically a weapon against the rulers of this world, because they would rather destroy the entire world than to give up their dominion over humans. That's what they would rather. So, Whoever designed this Phoenix weapon designed it for them.
I believe 100% there is more real estate underground than there ever has been on the surface of the world. And that's just simple geometry. If you were just to map it out and look, because our biosphere is very thin. Where humans can actually live, there's only a 12-mile strip in our world. It doesn't matter if our world's flat or if our world is curved. It's only 12 miles from the highest mountain in the Himalayas to the deepest part of the Marianas Trench. And 12 miles is nothing compared to 25,000 miles of known habitable land. But underground, it's not applicable. Because underground, they've got 3 dimensions they can play with. They can build cities sideways, slanted, stacked, pancake. They can go down far as they want and have natural, crystalline, perfectly good mineral-filled water. They have geothermal heating. They have excellent building materials down there. We have already found many different bioluminescent types of molds and fungi by which we can use down there for lighting.
Homeopathic remedies are good, but even more important, we should never lose sight of the fact that we are amazing spiritual creatures, so absolutely in tune between the physical world through our psyche that even something as simple as the placebo effect can basically cure us of anything that we suffer. And the very fact that this phenomenon is real and very well documented necessarily implies that we are more than we suppose ourselves to be. And if we follow this logic, that something like the placebo effect, just the mere belief in an abstract that can actually bring a positive event into a negative situation, the very fact that this has been so widely documented means necessarily that we are thinking things into existence. And this means we are much more than we suppose ourselves to be. And that many of the things that we experience on a daily basis just might be tied to the very thoughts that we had yesterday. The very experiences that we had yesterday just might be intrinsically entwined with belief systems that we formerly fed into last week. Oil companies, coal diggers, construction companies have found at depths between 25 and 200 feet below the soil of North America evidence of a civilization that died buried by cataclysm. Whole paved streets, pavers, houses with basements, two wooden ships with strange symbols have already been found in North America under mountains in the Rockies.
It doesn't matter what's wrong with you. This is why I have a huge disagreement with medical quarantines. This is why I do not like the idea of hospital wards and stuff. When you put people that are suffering an illness in contact with other people, the frequencies that they're coming in contact with them are not positive. They are not healing at all. You're actually cross-contaminating them with the other person's problems now. Now, the best thing for a sick person is to be surrounded by people who are very healthy, because they're going to begin resonating on that frequency. Hospitals, what you're describing, this very sanitized, austere environment, it's the exact opposite of what the sick and ailing and the infirm need. They need an environment that's full of vibrancy and light. Instead, hospitals are sanitized and almost soulless. It's almost like there's no personality. It's absolutely the worst thing people need that are sick.
While you're on the outside of the holodeck, some people are going to be nervous. They're like, man, I don't know if I want to do this. It's a long time, hundreds of lifetimes. And then the instructor says, well, you don't have to. I mean, you can go back, we have unlimited volunteers, but you're not going to remember any of them until you're done with this. He says every life sim that you live through is going to be one after the other. You're going to have a memory wipe through each one of them. Only after you come back out, when we turn the simulacrum off, you will have all this new information, new discoveries, new positive things, all this spiritual and intellectual development. You'll have it all. All the negativity stays on the holodeck. It collapses with the simulacrum protocols. Now, from that vantage point, would you not go in there knowing that in 5.5 hours you're walking right back out a totally improved person?
So I'm
promoting the exact same concept as the Hunger Games. Nothing different, only on a much grander scale. Remember, I am speaking about a world view that we can miniaturize into more comprehensible context, because many of you have seen the Hunger Games. And what I am promoting here is an idea that the Hunger Games was definitely telling you the truth. There are overseers who are human, who are watching a domed environment where humans inside the dome know that many of the things are not real, but the overseers with just a few keystrokes can create a monster that can kill them inside the dome. In the Hunger Games, they actually broke that dome and they escaped. But it wasn't a true escape. It was just humans landing and machines coming to pick them up when the game was now over. Because the dome looks infinite, produces weather phenomena and stars, and it looks like there is a real universe and cosmos out there. But in the Hunger Games, once the game was over and the ones on the inside collapsed the dome, it was just flying machines came and took them out to different destinations. Some captive and some were free. So I'm promoting the exact same concept as the Hunger Games. Nothing different, only on a much grander scale.
We cracked the code on the Great Wall of China. Yeah. We showed that the Great Wall of China was a road. It was never a fortification. It was a Roman road. It was the ancient Silk Road. And we even showed you a picture of the Great Wall disappearing into the Yellow Sea of China. We theorized that ships used to dock, unload, and send cargo like Amazon up the Great Wall from tower to tower. This is what we theorized. But I'm going to tell you now, Max Egan took it further. Max Egan got on Google Earth and he followed the Great Wall. And where Martin and I showed you an old photo of the wall going in the water, Max Egan showed the structures underneath the water, all the docking, megalithic docking, all underneath the water. You can see it from the sky. Max Egan found the pictures, proving our thesis that hundreds of ships were coming to these massive docks, unloading cargo and sending it across China into the Middle East, into the Mediterranean, ultimately to Rome and all its provinces. Yeah, Max did that. He was very thorough. He found a lot of pictures we didn't even know about. And even after that presentation, this guy here found pictures of the Great Wall where the wall had fallen out and it was full of nothing but sand. Yeah, I go more than that.
Ridiculous. We need to issue Graham Hancock comic books because that's where his research belongs. It's just ridiculous. The Aries through Pisces zodiac was fully developed in Tetrabiblos by Ptolemy in 200 AD at the exact same time that the four Gospels. Tetrabiblos means the four books. At the exact same time that the four Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, which are all a solar mythos attached to the Jesus narrative. Yeah, the Jesus narrative is far older than Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. But the four Gospels are added all the solar miracles and solar imagery in there of the ancient sun god, Mithraism. It added all these elements into the older sayings of Jesus, which were possessed by Marcion, who was a student of the Gnosis. Jesus was a concept. He was the greatest of all spiritual ideals. Yeah. I see glitches in the simulation. Do you? Yes, I have. I have seen a couple. Really shocked me. I mentioned, okay, look, this actually happened in the middle of doing a van vlog. Some of you remember this. I've never forgot it, but I was heading to Leggett, Texas. I was on the freeway, and I was just talking to you guys. I don't remember what the video was about. But my camera caught something that I saw, but I did not mention to you guys. But other viewers did see it, and they mentioned it in the comments. I passed up in the middle of nowhere in Central East Texas on Highway 59 going north out of Splendora, Texas. There's nothing out there but forest. I never saw any vehicles, and all of a sudden I drive by this skinny black guy. Looks like he's 20 years old, walking on the side of the freeway. I am nice. Summertime too. It's hot. I felt sorry for him, but I got people behind me, trucks behind me. It's narrow. I'm gone. I keep going in my van. I don't think nothing of it. My camera caught it. I didn't think nothing of it until about 5 minutes later. I was still talking on that van vlog, and this time I was shocked, and the camera even saw the shock in my face, and the camera also saw the person walking on the side of the road. This is real. It's caught in my video. I saw the exact same black kid, skinny, in the middle of nowhere, 5 more miles up the road as I was talking on the video. That's not a glitch. I don't know if it was a glitch or not, or if the simulacrum was trying to get me to pick this kid up, or pick up this program or whatever. And it might have thought, because I ignored it, that I didn't see it, so it put it back out there again. But my camera caught it twice, and it's just crazy. It's crazy. We learned in Archiax that the Great Wall of China isn't even Chinese, that it's of Roman construction, Roman measurements. We're using Roman materials, and that it was built during the Roman height of the Roman Empire. We learned that the Great Wall wasn't even a wall. That's a bullshit narrative. They weren't keeping out the Mongols. The Great Wall was designed that way so piracy wouldn't happen, so banditry couldn't happen. It kept the Silk Road elevated over the ground, and it made travel so much easier because it was the Amazon of the ancient world. Most people don't realize there's few pyramids in the world. Most of them are mounds that are full of rubble and then faced and dressed with blocks to make them look like they're a solid structure when they weren't. But the Great Pyramid is absolutely solid. So are the 2 pyramids next to it. But only the Great Pyramid of Giza has the upper features, relieving chambers, king's chamber. Those upper shafts have never been found in the other pyramids. That's why I want to go visit it. I would love to see it, only because it's the Alpha Pyramid. It's the pyramid that all other cultures were trying to copy.
There's a viewer named Jason Wetzel who says, are there occasions where someone can hack the simulation? Is that possible?
This is possible. It's a really good question, but it's only possible for the hacker. Let me explain. I have already, I don't know if I told you this or if it was another podcast, but on my own channel, I go into a lot of detail that we live in 2 simultaneously running, basically computer simulations at the exact same time. They are overlaid one over the other with very little interference patterns in the collective. These 2 realities that we exist in, one is the collective, and we're all a part of it, and we can't divorce ourselves from it. The other one is highly compartmentalized, and it's the individual, and we all have our own little programming universe attached to the individual. That is how powerful we are. This one feeds our informed field. This one allows us to isolate ourselves from the collective. It allows us to perform and do functions that the collective cannot do nor understand. It allows us to vibrate on frequencies that the collective cannot reach. This personal holography that you have, this existence that's only running for you in the personal, is what allows you, through the building of informed fields, to build your own reality, create the own situations that you want to bring materials and people into your existence that ordinarily would never happen. It allows you to have an armor against all the negativity of the collective itself. This is your informed field. It is personally belonging only to you, and with it you can hack reality and make things happen. You can draw circumstances and experience to yourself that ordinarily wouldn't happen, and you can protect yourself from everything in the world. No matter what the world is going through, you can be absolutely immune from all of it. You can hack reality, but you can only do it for yourself. Somebody mentioned it here in the chat, but truth be told, there's no military apparatus in the entire world that's ever going to allow an intelligence agency to leak actionable intel to the public. That's ridiculous. That anybody could sit there after thinking about that just for a few minutes and still agree that it's possible. You're not playing with a full deck. There's something very wrong with your cognition. No one will ever allow genuine intel to fall into the hands of the enemy. So, If a person of average intelligence can decode the drops, then so can the enemy. The whole idea that insiders in the U.S. military would employ such a method and not get caught instantly by an enemy, basically employing counterintelligence reasoning, this requires a total suspension of belief. It's the same allowance you give a movie theater when you go in and you decide to suspend your disbelief so you can enjoy the fantasy of the presentation. It's the same thing. There's no way an intelligence agency is going to release intel drops so the public can know, well, this is our next move. Some of these interactive worldwide video games have thousands, sometimes 10,000s of players all in the program at the same time, all in the same cityscape or kingdom or world. And these are real personalities behind these cartoon avatars that are traveling through here. But there's 100,000 avatars in there. They're NPCs. They're not real. But in the game, you don't know who's real and who's not. Some of them belong to the game. Some of them are actually real people playing the game with you. This is a primitive version in our entertainment industry today of the technology that I'm talking about. The future has already happened multiple times. There have been mistakes, and the past had to be rewritten. The past had to be restarted. Whole systems had to be rebooted while we were inside the system for whatever reason. But to us on the inside, we interpret this as a reset. We interpret this as a cataclysm. We interpret this as the Phoenix phenomenon. But on the outside, it was programming that was rebooted. It was changed. The entire reality tunnel dynamic of the whole sphere was altered. All trajectories were altered for whatever reason. Perhaps those on the outside figured out what they were trying to figure out. Because reality is far more complex than we are led to believe from the religious perspective. If you don't like your past, you can imagine a new one if you think that's necessary for you to change the trajectory of the events in your life for you to build a better tomorrow. If retrocausality is so real as our physicists tell us, then it doesn't matter which direction on the plane you go, the outcome will be the same. Our experience is only linear, but we can build in any direction we want to, and the construct will reciprocate. My very first published book was about using all the symbols from all these ancient records and showing that the reason why we have so many different images attached and ideas and concepts attached to the Great Pyramid is because it was known that it had something to do with the salvation of mankind. It was known that. That's why we built so many pyramids after that. Every civilization built their own copies and versions because it was understood it had something to do with our salvation. However, it was built back when our communication systems were sophisticated. We didn't write things down on paper or on stone and everything. But when the cataclysm occurred, it knocked everybody back to Neolithic times. We had no ways to communicate. No, we forgot all our records except for the traditions. So when literacy developed, different cultures developed their own phonetic and linguistic systems, but they remembered all the stories about the Great Pyramid and basically why it was built and what the concepts it was attached to. So we have 1,000 years later, all these different Mount Merus and Zion and all these, and almost every reference to Zion in the Old Testament, read the whole passage, is talking basically fundamentals about the Great Pyramid of Giza. But, I mean, for those who don't really understand what's going on in the world right now, I'm going to sum it up for you quick. Right now, we are experiencing a changing of the guard. That's what's going on right now. When I say changing of the guard, I mean all these leaders that have been pissing us off, all these judges, all these leaders, all these actors, actresses, all these pundits, all these commentators, all these leftist liberals that have been just out of control, ruining people's lives, commenting, making stupid comments, passing legislation and laws, being participants in all the activities for which it's been just angering patriots and nationalists all around the world. This isn't just the United States of America, it's all around the world. People are fed up, but it's all by design, every single bit of it. So many of them right now, and in the past month, as you've noticed, they have found themselves in a peculiar situation. They've been playing the script that was given them, but they weren't told that their funding was going to be taken. The media attention was going to start switching away from them. Public sentiment was now going to be unleashed, and they no longer had protection. This is why when you see these Democrats and socialists getting hammered in Congress, getting hammered on the news and all that, you see their faces. It's genuine shock. Like, oh my God. Because they didn't sign up for that. I believe the giants existed in the past. I have several videos on the difference between titans and giants, and it has everything to do with vapor canopy ecology. And vapor canopy isn't something I made up at all. Back when I was a Christian, I used to research. I used to devour the scientific reports from the Institute of Creation Research. ICR had some amazing things, and vapor canopy, mesosphere, they stuck with the biblical terminology, which was firmament. They're always calling it the firmament, and that's cool because that's what it's called in Genesis. But the vapor canopy is something that they have a lot of scientific data for, and that's where I got a lot of my ideas, my material, and I understand. And I interpreted all these ancient American traditions now because I understand what they're talking about, the dark purple light time. When the matriarchal cultures they had traditions that there was dark purple light. There was no sun. No one even heard of sun. As a matter of fact, it took a cataclysm known as the Great Flood, which in other cultures was the day the sky fell. The collapse of the vapor canopy was when the sun calendars were born. Those frames of reference are basically brainwashed into them by universities who tell them, well, you have to, whatever theory you come up with is good. We may even fund it. But whatever you come up with and whatever you publish, if you want to be peer-reviewed and endorsed, then it needs to fit within uniformitarian principles. It must fit within the evolutionary model. It must fit within the geological ages that we have already assigned the history of the world. And it must fit with the basically the principles of geology as put out by Charles Lyell in the 1800s. The true source of the whole evolution model. Yeah, even Darwin doubted his own theory and published that, but you won't read that in scientific books. You have to read that in Darwin's own books. But he said there is nothing truer than the fact that the entire history of the world is one of cataclysms and basically mass extinctions. For that man to say that means that he was a catastrophist, not an evolutionist. All I know is that I'm not worried about it. Whatever I have to pay for, I'm going to assume that debt. Whatever comes at me, I'm going to deal with it. And the rest can go F itself, because I'm an informed field, and there is nothing to fear because I'm attached to something far greater than myself. So great, in fact, that it allows me to draw from myself more than I contain. And the very fact that I can do that regularly means that my power source is not my own. It's coming from somewhere else. That necessarily implies that I am watched out for, and that makes me fearless. Simple as that. In 1902, there was a ship that absolutely documented a gigantic cigar-shaped object that descended from the stars at night. And they saw it. It was a black object, but when it got close, they saw that it was kind of gray. And then when it came into contact with the Atlantic, right there in their proximity, they were very close to it. When it hit the Atlantic, it did it softly, but the water gave way and it was crackling like it was hissing. And they say the object itself couldn't have got wet because they watched like a field outside the object push the water away, but the water was fighting back. It was sizzling and crackling and all that, and the object went straight under the water and just totally vanished and disappeared from. There's been many incidents like that. Now, underworlders can have, now if they have not had a collapse in their infrastructure, then that means their technology now is thousands of years old, whereas ours goes back 200 years. So you can only imagine the state of their technology if there has not been any interruptions. All I know is that it only takes us 200 years to go from horse and
with a horse shitting all over the street, all the way to building Hadron Colliders. So if it only takes us 200 years to build this massive infrastructure for which we have today, where we're mimicking virtual reality holographies, then you can only imagine a civilization below us, technology so advanced that they can create aerial phenomena and make us believe they're UFOs. But in programming, it's not past and future and present. It's coordinates. And what's beautiful is about the human mind, by virtue of imagination, can tap into either field, future or past, and draw things from it to the present when it's needed. This is only possible if consciousness is non-local. And the only reason why it feels local is because its center point of coordinates is inside this avatar jacked into the system by virtue of the central nervous system. But really, we're non-local beings. We're like immortals flowing through a construct. And the more I perceive reality in this way, it seems to reveal itself to me more and more and more that I'm dealing with some type of spiritual programming that was specifically designed and put here for me to have this experience. We're all ghost projections. The pain, the suffering, it's all illusory. Yes, you experience it and feel it. But when the simulacrum collapses, all the negativity collapses with it. What is left is the immortal being who just lived through 138 or 155, however many life sims. Everything you learned, everything that you accepted into your informed field is now a part of your new armor, your new weapon. So this whole experience of living all these different lives, yes, you went through the dark, but you obtained the light. This is my position of the why that we're going through all this.
But in the particular, hey man, we're immortals in the mire. There is nothing you cannot survive. There is nothing you cannot knit for yourself. The simulacrum's going to respond to you in the personal, but in the collective, defense are fixed. You'll never get me to say otherwise from my very first video. I have all...
Clocking off, guys. Good night. See you tomorrow.